Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Denali and I am a full-time reseller on eBay and Poshmark, and this is a series where I sit in my car and I talk about things that are timely in my business and life. All right, so I didn't know if I was going to film a video and I was like, you know what, just hit record. So here we are, I hit record. In my last video, if you saw, I was talking about how I was starting an inventory check on all of my inventory in preparation of the move that is coming. It is really happening. I actually got the lease agreement yesterday from my new landlord, and which I've very briefly talked about my space. So if you're like, wait, did she already show us a space? I haven't shown it yet, but I will, don't worry. Honestly, I just don't have really any like video footage of it, and I only have a few photos which aren't that great, and the other tenant was in the space still. So I want to be able to show it to you like once it's empty and all that sort of stuff. So anyways, I got the new lease agreement and I forwarded it off to an attorney to review, which you should always do if you're going to move into a new space. And so, yeah, and then hopefully I'll be signing that very soon. But in the meantime, I wanted to give you an update on how inventory is going. So initially I thought that I would maybe outsource it to my employee and have them go through the items and, you know, condense and also get rid of some stuff. And as I started the project, and I apologize if I said this in my last video, but as I started the project, I realized, oh, this is way too nuanced. Like the clothes that I have in here, I need to be making the decisions about. And I hated that was the case because I'm such a control freak in a lot of ways. And I really thought I was gonna be able to give up control of this. But as I was telling a friend last night, it's just like, am I gonna send this item to ThredUp? And am I going to send this item to The RealReal? I have other consignment companies that I send items to. Do I send it to them? Or am I going to put this into inventory boxes, et cetera, et cetera. And so I realized that like I need to be doing this, which is fine. It is a very time consuming project to do, unfortunately. And basically, I'm basically just pulling down one bin at a time. I pull the item out. I decide if we're going to keep it, send it off to a bunch of different places. If we're going to keep it, then I'm reassigning it a new SKU. And then we're moving it into a different bin because we're gonna condense everything. So you see what I'm saying? It just takes more time than I initially thought. Some things that I've learned doing this process is that there's a lot of inventory that has just fallen off platforms, which is very frustrating. If you've been reselling for some period of time, you are like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. For whatever reason, inventory just falls off of certain platforms, maybe in your relisting and delisting or delisting and relisting process, it just doesn't get relisted. Whatever the case might be, maybe the item's sold, but then the order got canceled, but then it never got relisted for some reason. The item was returned and it never, I don't know, whatever. There's a million different reasons for why an item can kind of fall off a platform. And so I am experiencing that, which is very frustrating because ultimately you have to say to yourself, you know, you've just been storing this item, right? You've just been a storage facility. There was no opportunity for this item to sell, or maybe it was only listed on one platform, but not, you know, maybe it was listed on Poshmark, but not eBay and Mercari. And so it just didn't have the opportunity to sell on as many platforms. So with those sort of items, again, you know, I'm having to make these tough decisions on like, okay, what do I do with it now? Do I want to continue to hold on to it by relisting it again, or do I just let it go to another platform? Well, for some of the items, I am relisting it again, and wouldn't you know it, you guys, those items have been selling. So that's awesome, but it's also frustrating. Again, it's just, you know, it's like a double-edged sword. Like you want to be happy about it because you're like, yay, it's sold and I just relisted it, you know? But in this same breath, it's also like, oh my gosh, like I've had this for a while. And because I date all of my inventory so that I know when it originally was listed. And so it's just frustrating. And so anyways, I'm trying not to dwell on that too much, but that is just like one of the realities of doing inventory if you haven't done your inventory in a while. Another thing that we noticed as well is that with some of our accessories, so I was able to have my employee go through our accessories bins, and unfortunately we found that a lot of items, like entire, like, you know, we create albums of like a photographing that we do for the day. And so one, like maybe an entire album of items, which could be maybe like 30 items for the, you know, that was done, photographed that day, those are just not even listed. And so again, very frustrating. And, you know, just, you know, I guess you could say to yourself, like, what's the lesson here? Like, what do you do differently moving forward? In those instances, you know, maybe some more checks and balance in the process of how we give that information through kind of our little chain of, you know, photographing, listing, that sort of process. But also, I mean, the reality for me as well is that I've talked about in paring down my inventory is having the ability to understand and control it a little bit better, which I felt like I haven't had as much control over in, you know, the past few years as my business grew. I just have had so much inventory, and it's just grown so much that it's really hard to know every single item that you have, as much as I really thought I did. And so that's really why I'm excited about this whole process of paring down my inventory. It's extremely painful in this moment, not physically painful, but just mentally painful to be doing this whole process. But I know that, you know, come April 1st, right? That's technically when I'm supposed to be out of this space and I should fully be in my new space. But by April 1st, you know, in theory, my inventory will be pared down significantly. You know, my sweet spot that I'd like to get down to is somewhere around maybe like 2,000 items, which, you know, my store has had upwards of 6,000 items, right, in the past. And so to go from 6,000 items down to 2,000 is a huge change. And I feel like at 2,000, I will be more confident in saying moving forward that I know what I have in my inventory. And so those have kind of been the things that I've been learning. It's just that as much as you think you know your inventory, you kind of don't. And as much as you think you have everything listed on every platform available for all customers to purchase, you might not. And also the value in delisting and relisting. I use Vendoo. I've talked about Vendoo a lot over the past, I don't even know. I've been using it since it was in beta, which was like, I think 2019. But I think I saw something from Vendoo this past December. I think it was December. Like they released some sort of report on just information that they had collected from users who use Vendoo. And essentially it was like people, I'm gonna misquote it, but it was something like people who delist and relist their items regularly had like a 10 times higher selling rate of items. I don't know. It was a number that surprised me enough that I was like, okay, I already do delist and relist, but it was just further evidence that, okay, things actually, they are really selling. And I do notice it. But sometimes actually seeing it written down, it, you know, helps drive home that point. So if you're not delisting and relisting your items, whether you use Vendoo or any other service, or you don't use a service and you just do it manually, which that sounds actually really painful to do manually, but consider doing it more because it does work. So that's kind of the update of where I'm at. I wish I could tell you I'm at the, you know, to the 2,000 mark now. Unfortunately, I'm not. We're just slowly continuing to make our way through. I've still got another, you know, month and a week until we have access to the new spot. And then once that comes, which will be March 1st, excuse me, I'll start moving stuff over into the new place and getting myself situated. And I want to have everything set up nice and beautiful on how I want it to look moving forward. And then, yeah, whatever's left here at the warehouse, I'm going to start getting cutthroat and make decisions on. And yeah, we'll just see how this process continues to go. And of course, I will update you guys along the way. But that's my update for the week. I hope you all are doing well. I should probably go get into the office now. I picked up a latte. I got a latte. It's like I wasn't drinking coffee, and then this past week I've really needed coffee. So, the weeks they change. I mean, one week I'm drinking chais, the next week I'm drinking caffeinated coffee. So we'll see where I'll be next week. Anyway, all right, I'm rambling. I will see you guys very soon. Bye.